the University of Ghana to immediately reverse all recent fee increases for the 2025-2026 academic year or face serious sanctions. This evening, we will hear from the university stakeholders. Later, President John Mahama reaffirms commitment to reviewing single spine and pensions policies, but organized labor demand specific timelines to this particular news item. What exactly is the president's position on this? We'll find out in a jiffy and tell you more now that there are calls for a review of the policy. Your comments are always welcome on the show, so do let us know what you make of the many stories we have for you this evening. Before we delve into the details, let's bring you the news summaries with Nura Mohammed. Hello, Nura.
Hello, Martin. Good evening. My name is Nura Mohammed. Good evening. My name is Nura Mohammed, and these are the summaries for the bulletin this evening. First in the summaries, President John Dramani Mahama has reiterated his government's commitment to review the single spine salary structure to improve the welfare and benefits of workers across the country. The president said the move forms part of broader efforts to ensure fair compensation and better working conditions for public sector workers, particularly teachers. He gave the assurance while addressing delegates at the 7th Quadrennial National Delegates Conference of the Ghana National Association of Teachers, NAT, in Accra on January 5. Away from that, the Inspector General of Police, IGP, Mr. Christian Tete Yohunu, on Monday, January 5, 2025, promoted 30 officers to their next ranks in recognition of their distinguished conduct during operations that led to the retrieval of 2,600 AK-47 rounds of ammunition at the Kantanso Asankare police barrier in the Ashanti region and the dismantling of a robbery syndicate on the Antwa-Kro-Manso Nkwanta stretch during the Christmas season. The promotions acknowledged the officers' professionalism, vigilance, and commitment to duty. Now the Ghana National Association of Teachers, NAT, has warned that it will not hesitate to direct its members to close down schools if attacks and assaults on teachers continue in communities across the country. According to NAT, the growing incidents of violence against teachers are disrupting the smooth running of education and creating an unsafe working environment for educators. The association says teachers deserve protection and respect and will take firm action if the safety is not guaranteed. President of NAT, Reverend Isaac Owusu, made these remarks while addressing the association's 7th National Quadrennial Conference held in Accra on January 5. That'll be all for the summaries. Over to you, Martin.
Thank you very much, Nura. Now we can settle for the details of our stories. Now, starting from the education front, because the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, GTEC, for those of you who may not know them, they are actually the ones that also go after persons who are using wrong titles or false titles of doctorate or professorship. Well, they have in the last few days been busy warning against the recently announced increment in school fees, or I should say the fees of some of the tertiary institutions. So GTEC has directed the management of the University of Ghana to immediately reverse all recent fee increases and or dues for the 2025-2026 academic year. According to the commission, publicly funded universities are not permitted to review or introduce student fees without following laid down procedures, including preparing or securing parliamentary approval as required under the Fees and Charges Act. The letter follows last week's announcement for over a 25% increase in academic fees across all colleges, which sparked public outrage. Management of the University of Ghana had explained that the increment was largely due to third-party charges introduced by student leadership and not the university authorities. However, GTEC in its letter copied to the Minister of Education and Deputy Minister, the Parliamentary Select Committee on Education and Vice Chancellors of Ghana and the university's Internal Audit Directorate indicated or reiterated its point that no new fees for the 2025 or 2026 academic year can be charged without prior parliamentary approval. GTEC has given the University of Ghana up till the 12th of January 2026 to to provide evidence of full compliance, warning that failure to do so will attract serious regulatory sanctions. And for those of you who are watching us on Facebook, you can see the specific extracts from the statement that was circulated by GTEC, which is the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, GTEC. They say, amongst other things, that the University of Ghana must reduce or reverse any fee increases or dues that they have recently announced with immediate effect, and then credit all continuing students who have overpaid their fees compared to last academic year's fees for the next academic year. And then also they are asking the university to refund the difference to final year students who have paid in excess of the fees for last academic year, revert all dues, including SRC dues and GRASAC dues, to last academic year's rates, suspend any new fees such as the 75th anniversary dues and development levy if newly introduced, except for those that were already in place. Now the fees must be set at last academic year's rate. So those are the key requirements captured in the letter that was sent to GTEC, sent from GTEC to the University of Ghana. Now let's try and get some perspective on this, because it looks as though the university is taking a stance. They say that they have not, as a university, made any specific increments. However, the recent increments that are seen on the bills that are circulating on social media is as a result of dues that the Student Representative Council, the SRC, and GRASAG, that's the Graduate Students Association of Ghana, dues. These are the dues that have shot up the university's academic the university's fees. So it is not necessarily the university itself that has introduced these new fees. Let's speak now to the president of the Graduate Students Association of Ghana, GRASAG, that's the UG president, Sadiq Abubakar. Sadiq, good evening. Thank you for joining us on 3. I understand the role of GRASAG when it comes to fees and charges that students are asked to pay. At what point do you introduce this? Is it yearly? Is it quarterly? Or is per semester?
Thank you very much for the question. And then I want to take the opportunity to greet Ghanaians and graduate students of the University of Ghana. When it comes to fees and charges of the University of Ghana, especially the graduate students, we have a governance structure that we follow to propose this kind of increment or this kind of third-party charges for the students. And our governance structure, we have the General Assembly for the undergrads, and then we have the Senate for graduate students that have reps from all the other departments and halls and hostels of the university, which come together to form the Senate. That's the high decision-making body of the Graduate Student Association of Ghana, University of Ghana chapter. Now, when it comes to this new development that came recently that is gaining media attention, the 25% fees increment is false. It's not true. And then I think that we need to take a look at it when it comes to, communication to the public domain, because this has gained public attention. It is only an upward adjustment of one of our components, which is our social development levy, that, successive governments have failed to provide us more accommodation to mitigate the accommodation crisis on campus. And we, the student leaders who are problem solvers, want to solve these issues of giving our students a good accommodation with less charges, decided to have this initiative to build ourselves, mobilize our own funds, come up with our own hotels, and charge less fees. But currently, when it comes to UG, various halls and hotels around campuses are charging exorbitant prices. How can a student pay 2,000 Ghana cedis as school fee and pay hostel fee as high as 18,000 Ghana cedis, 12,000 Ghana cedis? The least I know currently is 9,000 cedis as hostel fee. So I think that GTEC whether channel effort in regulating how various hostels and halls around in BG are charging students at all because of lack of adequate hostels and halls to accommodate with the students. And we can all attest to the fact that the double track system brought a lot of students to attend the universities, and which has put pressure on the accommodations of various university campuses. And I thank God that UPSA has adopted a good model that the students are also contributing money to come up with their own hostel, and you could all see that it's solving the community crisis at UPSA.
Okay,
so
hold on, Sadiq. Let me be sure that I understand what you're saying. That GRASAG, yes, you have introduced new charges, right?
It is not new. It is an existing charges, but you just did an upward adjustment.
Okay, so it is already there, but it has just been increased.
Yes, please. Because
by what percentage?
Looking at the number of students that we have, contributing to this fund, we don't want to borrow money from any bank or any private person. We want to use our own money to start our own structure, so we can be able to charge less price for our students.
Okay, so you are asking students. Hold on.
By 200 Ghana cedis.
Okay, so I just want us to be so that like you're saying, it is not true. You started by saying that it is not true that there's a 25% increase, etc. So I want us to have the conversation so there is clarity across board. So there is already an allocation that students are supposed to pay a GRASAG fee, and it is not newly introduced, it's already existent. You have just increased that amount.
Yes, please.
And you've increased it to how much, or by how much?
So we increase it to 200 cedis.
Okay.
200 cedis across board. It's a general consensus from the General Assembly and the Senate. So it's across board from undergrad to the graduate students.
Okay. Now,
it's a general increment for graduate students and then the adult students. So the percentage increment will vary based on the level you are.
Right.
But the price is 200 cedis across board.
Okay. Now, before the introduction, prior to, so now we are talking about when it was introduced, did it have approval from Parliament? Because what we are told about the fees and charges is that if the university of which you are members want to introduce any new fees and charges, there must be parliamentary approval. Does that exempt GRASAG?
So, as I said earlier, our governance structure, Senate and General Assembly are higher decision-making bodies. At our level, the Senate and General Assembly approved this increment, and then we sent this increment to management for it to be added to the fees. Between Parliament of Ghana and the University of Ghana issues, unless management of the university comes to answer this question. But for this, our level of students, our student parliament approved this, and the minutes and then the approval permissions are all there in our records. And I don't think that management will allow us to do this without recourse to our parliamentary approvals.
Okay, so you are saying that the University of Ghana authorities are aware of the amount you are increasing the GRASAG fee by, and that they approved it before it was added to the breakdown of how much every student is supposed to pay.
Yes, they accepted it because it went through our governance structure and it went through management level and to council level for approval. That is what I know for now.
Okay, but that's interesting because it looks as though the university is saying that they actually did not approve of this, to the extent that when GTech came in, or when the issue started going viral or getting public attention and GTech came in, the university said, well, they have not approved any such fee, to the extent that now GTech is saying that the university should reverse that increment. What is your take on this?
I think that I have not heard about this from the university, but what I heard from the university is that the university has never increased any fees for this academic year. It is only the student leaders or the students themselves who have increased their components, requested for their components of the fees, but the general fees have not been increased. That is what I heard from the two vice chancellors when he got a press with one of the Channel 1 TV stations.
Okay, so not the university fee itself, but the GRASAG fee that has been increased.
It's a third-party component out of the fee. So the general fees has not been increased. Academic facility user fee has not been increased, and it should remain the same as last year. But it is only an upward adjustment of our student levy that we want to commence, because the university has given us 5 acres of land. And looking at the slow pace of our mobility, we cannot utilize the current funds to be able to set up to start the construction of our new hotel block to mitigate the hostel deficit on campus. So we decided to, increase this through our governance structures so that we can be able to mobilize more funds and commence the project as soon as possible. So that in the coming years, we can be able to own our own hotel and mitigate the hall or hotel accommodation crisis on campus.
Okay, so is there any consideration to review this amount? Because it looks as though some students, for instance, are saying that one, they were not fully apprised of this decision, and secondly, they think it's a bit on the high. So they would either prefer a reversal, total cancellation, or at least a major reduction. What do you say to that?
Look, I am surprised hearing this today because it's the students themselves who went to the Senate and Assembly to go and approve this themselves. I don't know which of the students who are complaining about this, but as I said earlier, maybe some students might complain because they feel that they are contributing to the money now, but they may not be the direct beneficiary of the project. But so let's take into consideration that whatever facility we are enjoying in the university today was paid by someone who did also enjoy it as we are here today. So I think that this project is in good cause. Although I came to meet this lady, and then when we came to office to meet this lady, we realized that it's in the good cause. We also want to continue it and make it, purpose of this initiative to come to reality as soon as possible. And I believe that if the government can also support us, come up with this project, it's also going to help us to mitigate the hostel crisis on campus. Because currently, a student is paying 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 school fees, and paying accommodation as high as 12,000, 25,000, 7,800, 9,000. 18,000 accommodation. It's even more than twice of the fees you are paying. That is what the accommodation is supposed to even go there. If they want to regulate fees and taxes on campus, I believe that what of the accommodation, which is rather burden us on campus. Currently, when it comes to campus, there are people who are on campus, people who even decline admission to university because of accommodation.
Lack of accommodation. Okay. So should it be our understanding that this is in line, this decision to ask students to pay is in line with the university, and the university is fully aware that this amount is being collected over a number of years, and this is the project it is intended to be used for? The University of Ghana is fully aware of this.
As I said earlier, even the university has even handed over 5 acres of land for us to even commence the project, which means that they are aware. And they are in full support of this initiative because they believe that if external bodies are not coming into our aid to help us to mitigate this hostel deficit, and we, the student leaders, have taken up upon ourselves to come up with a project that will benefit the students at the long run. It is in order. So the university is really supporting us. And one thing you also know that the money is not coming to anybody's budget. There's a governing board which is even in charge of this project, and everything is done is going to according to the universities, authorities, procurement activities and processes of the Ghana and everything. So we don't see that this money is going to be used for any other thing, but to also start the project. And we believe that very soon we will call the millions to come when we start.
Okay.
For the project.
Right. Sadiq, thank you for bringing this to our attention. Are you able to tell us how much you've been able to accrue so far? Not this year, because this year they are yet to pay, but how much you have been able to accrue?
So you see, at first we were having SRC board different and GATAC board different. But when we came to power, we realized that the different boards are not able to accrue more funds to come up with the project. So we, the students ourselves, through our governance structures, do a joint board that can be able to, start a holistic project ourselves and then command us together. So now we are under auditing. So after the auditing of the internal auditors, when they finish our report, we know how much we have now, and then we start the project.
Sadiq Abubakar, thank you so much for speaking to 3FM this evening.
Thank you very much. Right,
and you heard Sadiq Abubakar, who is the GRASAG president for the University of Ghana. Now let's also pick the thoughts of the Honorable Member of Parliament for Akachi North, the Honorable Peter Nochu Kotoi, who is also the chairman of the Education Committee of Parliament. Honorable, a very good evening to you. A happy New Year to you. Thank you for your time this evening.
Good evening and a happy New Year to you and your listeners.
Right, we have just gone off the phone with the GRASAG president. Now, we spoke to him because the University of Ghana is saying that their fee that they've asked students to pay has not changed compared to last year. However, the current increment is as a result of the SRC and GRASAG dues. We spoke to the GRASAG president at the University of Ghana, who says that the amount they are asking students to pay, which is about 200 Ghana cedis, depending on your level, is to help them secure accommodation or put up their own accommodation structure, which is one of the biggest challenges students have on campus. Did this also have to come to Parliament for clearance, or the university had full authority to give them the go-ahead to collect this money?
Yeah, thank you very much. And let me say that any money that is charged in any public institution is public fund. So we have the Fees and Charges Act. And under that act, any fee, whether by association or by any group or the school authorities, that should be charged on students must come to Parliament for approval. Now, the fees and charges that we had last year, it comes before the Committee on Subsidiary Legislation. But nothing new came from the University of Ghana. So it is on record that we have not approved any fees or charges for any purpose in the University of Ghana. So these are illegal fees that are being charged. And until Parliament approves any fees and charges for any association on the campuses of the University of Ghana or any public institution, it is illegal.
Oh, that's interesting, because there was the thought that the university also had, some window or opportunity for them to increase marginally or otherwise specific dues like the GRASAG and SRC. You mean the university, whatever amount they intend to charge, so far as it's a public institution and it is the public that is going to pay for it, including SRC and GRASAG, it should come to Parliament?
Yes, that it's not every fee that they can increase through the window of opportunity that is given to them. You see, there is a limit to what the universities can do. So, new fees or increment in fees arbitrarily more than a certain percentage must come to Parliament for approval. And that is what they should have done. So, they cannot continue to charge those fees because Parliament has not approved it. So I will appeal to them that they should go through the proper channel, through the Minister for Education. First, they must consult GTEC. GTEC will come to go to the Minister of Education, to the Minister of Finance, then to come to Parliament. Then we will sit on it and then look at the merits and the demerits of the fees and charges, and then approval will be given. So no amount of explanation that it is an association that is charging does not satisfy the conditions. It is public money. Once it is collected by an institution on behalf of an association, it's public fund.
Right. Okay. And maybe last two questions before you take leave of us. You indicated that the committee has already given approval for the fees that the public universities are supposed to be charging, which includes that of the University of Ghana. So it meant that this recent increment was not part of what you received as a committee before you gave approval.
It was not part of it.
Right.
If it was part of it, I think we would have known about it before this time. And I can tell you that even the colleges of education, when they also did a similar thing, and they appeared before the Committee on Education, we called in the Director General of GTEC, and they had to suspend the collection of the new fees that they wanted to charge because Parliament had not approved it.
Okay. And with a kind of, it looks as though GRASAG, the University of Ghana GRASAG president we spoke to, was confident and seemed to, based on what he said, have the backing of the university authorities, because he says that they have been in the known all through. And that was why it was even printed for students to get to know how much they are supposed to pay. So if the students are saying so, and the university, like we are told currently, is also aware of it. What can the Committee of Parliament on Education do in ensuring that we do not have this particular issue get out of hand, where other institutions can also start introducing similar fees in the name of they want to help develop or build accommodation or solve the accommodation challenge students go through?
Yeah, I don't think anybody is against that proposal that they want to put up infrastructure to accommodate students. But we only want the right thing to be done. If they are allowed to do so now, students or associations in other public institutions will also copy them and then be doing the same thing. So if they had the backing of the University of Ghana authorities, then that backing was wrong because they had not sought approval by the Minister for Education, the Minister for Finance, and finally Parliament. So they are wrong, and then they must correct it.
All right. Honorable Peter Nochikote, we are grateful for your time this evening.
Okay, yeah, I'm grateful too.
Thank you. We've been speaking to the Member of Parliament for Akachi North, and he is also the chairman of the Education Committee of Parliament, clearly giving a totally different position on these new fee increments, where we're told that based on what Grasag has just told us, they say that the University of Ghana authorities are aware, although the university says that they agree with GTEC's position that the fees that were charged last year or last academic year should be the same fees. And so this increment, based on what the students are saying, is as a result of, or is after a consultation with the university authorities who are fully aware of how much the students coming in are supposed to pay as GRASAG fees. The Honourable Member of Parliament for Akachi North, and who also sits on the Education Committee in Parliament, says that irrespective of whatever reason or justification is given for this increment, it still needs to come to Parliament because it is public funds that are being collected. So we'll see what these new developments or new angles we are getting to this developing story will look like. At least GTEC is firm on its position and its directive it has given to the university not to go through with these new charges, and that they should just revert to the charges of the last academic year. In the coming days, we'll try and get the university's position on it because it looks as though the situation keeps changing. It's a very fluid issue. Some students have already sent in messages asking for the reversal of this increment. We would update you subsequently as we also get these updates from the university and from the education stakeholders. This is still 3FM 92.7. You're listening to Hot Edition live from our studio here at Adesanwe Kanda in Accra. Now let's go to another big story we've been looking at for you, having to do with the fact that organized labor has a few issues they want the president to address. Now, they are calling on President John Mahama to expedite the review of the single spine salary structure and the pension system before the end of the year. The request follows the president's recent commitment to review the single spine pay policy to enhance the remuneration and welfare of workers across the country. Now, the president was at a meeting with organized labor, and our correspondent who has been following the labor has come through with this report for us.
The Secretary General of the Trade Union Congress, Joshua Ansa, stressed the need for urgent action to address the concerns of workers.
We started the process long time ago, and this is something we want to do and do it properly. We don't want to rush and do anything anyhow. We hear the cost of every corner that single spine pay policy must be reviewed. Definitely it will, and we need to expedite action on it. So we are on it. We will do it.
President of the National Association of Graduate Teachers in Agrat, N.J. Kabonu, called for a clear timeline to ensure the review is completed within the year.
Salary structure that will cover all workers from the president to the lowest paid worker. The immediate removal of Article 71 office holders. There should be no class or distinctions in salaries. That is how we're going to ensure equity within the public service.
The Vice President of the Pre-Tertiary Teacher Association of Ghana, PRETAC, Adokwe Awule, said the government should prioritize the review process to improve conditions of service for teachers.
Very unfair when you see some other sectors who don't even contribute to pensions. There are some other sectors, they don't contribute to their pension. They retire on their salary and then they receive a lump sum from government. And I think, but we are contributing, we are paying our SNIT, we are paying everything, and at the end of the day, you go home and you don't know even what you go with. So I think it shouldn't be just talk. It should be actions.
Meanwhile, the Executive Secretary of the National Labour Commission, Dr. Bernice Welbeck, has appealed to stakeholders on the labour front to strictly adhere to the provisions of the Labour Act to help reduce labour agitations this year.
It's interesting to note that last year of the industrial agitations, when we talk about the industrial agitations, it's about the notices of strikes, the strikes and all that. 67% of that was recorded from the education sector. This is a great matter of concern, and we think that that should be looked at critically and addressed.
And you heard that report put together by our Labour correspondent Daniel Opoku. Now let's speak to someone who's been following this particular issue for a very long time and has fair knowledge of how labour issues have gone in this country. Austin Game has joined us for a conversation. Mr. Game, a very happy new year to you. Thank you for your time.
Very happy return.
President John Mahama has given an assurance to Labour that the single spine salary structure will be reviewed. It's over a decade since it was introduced, and things or times have changed. The current economic pressures Ghanaian workers are facing also comes up every now and then. First of all, from your perspective, there are those who say if it is not broken, you don't have to fix it. Is there a current challenge with the pay structure, and what do you make of the review suggestion by the president?
Thank you very much. Honestly, from day one, the current pay structure has been defective and calls for a comprehensive review. And having listened to the president, even during the time of his campaign, he said he will set up a comprehensive, independent emolument commission to be able to undertake a review in the country. It's in tandem with our Labour Act. Whatever we are doing currently, generally speaking, is not in tandem with the labor law. And so if he's calling for it, it's appropriate, it's due, and should be done as soon as practicable.
Oh, okay. And so, I mean, maybe for purposes of education, will you be able to tell us which components of the structure needs reviewing?
Okay. Honestly, the approach that was carried out was good for the purpose at the time, but it was not clinically done. That is to say that many people took it for granted and did not actively participate. And so they were calling for some kind of a change in it, because it's taking notice that it's not in their interest. And that is just a small segment. The main thing is that we have to consider the whole thing as a remuneration package. A remuneration is both salary plus variable allowances such as risk allowance
leave allowance, and some of these things that used to bring about unnecessary upheaval in the country, plus indirect pay, which goes with maternity leave, leave days, casual leave, and today men are asking for paternity leave. All that comes as part of the indirect pay. It's all cost. So you have to put it together. It's called remuneration. And it's in line with the Labour Act. We are not, as a nation, supposed to pay anybody for going to work without assigning the person a certain task to perform. And so you remunerate the person in the interest of the business and in the interest of the person. So there will be no hiccup whatsoever in this nation for any business to suffer, because you have to pay people based upon the performance of the business, which is done by the people, and therefore everybody will be happy. The other point is that we have to take notice of the fact that what is within the grasp of the people working in a particular industry, whether public or private, what is in their hands to be able to fix, such as determining what the pay should be, is in their hands. Because that is microeconomic condition which the people control themselves through negotiation that you have to do within the confines of the Labour Act. The macroeconomic condition is in the hands of government. That is about ensuring that there is good inflation, there is good FX management, conditions of living generally in the economy, and related matters that are macroeconomic things that is handled only by government. That is the reason why we have to separate them, and then you can go to, example, a national tripartite committee to determine the national daily minimum wage. After the base pay, it is based upon the performance of the national economy, because most of the people in the public sector are not necessarily going to be productive in the sense of generating some income. But their contribution in diverse ways leads to generation of other people making profit. And therefore it can be examined. And then they are rewarded accordingly. So, yes, there is a whole lot of things that ought to be done when it comes to remuneration administration. It's not for faint-hearted people.
Right. We also know that some adjustments, there have been periodic adjustments to the salary structure. But Labour is still insistent that it is not enough. And from the submission you just gave, it is more detailed than what we assume. So would 1 year be enough to do this review? Because Labour is asking government that they appreciate the concern that the president has raised about a review. However, they want that done within a year. Is it possible? Is it realistic?
Yes, it can be done. Even between maximum 9 months, it can be done. The structures are already there. Somebody who has the capacity to do it and knows it, when it is called upon, you should know what to do. If you are not capable and they call you, if I were to be you, I'll reject it. So, but if someone knows what to do in salary administration, if you like remuneration administration, it is not something that should be done into infinitum. It can be done within 9 months to 1 year maximum. I think 1 year may be comprehensively enough.
Okay. We will see what the coming days hold, and we are grateful that you could make time to speak with us this evening.
I appreciate that.
Thank you so much. That is Labour consultant Austin Game, and it looks as though he largely agrees with the fact that the single spine salary structure needs to be restructured, more or less, because he says right from the onset there have been challenges with it, and so he supports the call for a review of the single spine salary structure. However, the concerns are a bit more detailed. So he says, yes, the call for it to be done within a year is also plausible. So we'll see what exactly government intends to do as the president is asking or saying for a review. What does that review mean? Which aspects of it will be reviewed? We'll try and keep tabs with the Labour front and see how they agree or adjust themselves to these new reviews. That's likely to be happening in the coming months. This is 3FM 92.7. You're listening to Hot Edition. My name is Martin Esiedudate. We are shifting our attention to some other issues now. You'd recall that earlier today, the funeral rites of the Member of Parliament for the Ayawaso East constituency happened, and a number of members of Parliament were there to pay their last respects. Because he is a Muslim, he has had to be buried within 24 hours after his passing. So the funeral took place today, and our colleague George Queening, who was there, reports that many members of Parliament, members of the National Democratic Congress, and also loved ones were there to pay their last respect to Mahama Nasser Toure, who passed away yesterday. So George Queening was there and has come through with his report.
A day before the Janaza prayers for the late Ayawaso East MP, the intervention by President John Dramani Mahama ensured that all administrative processes were expedited to allow the body to be released to the family Sunday evening. That is according to the Member of Parliament for Ayawaso North, Yusuf Jaja. Keeping with Islamic tradition, the burial for the late lawmaker took place less than 24 hours after his passing. The National Mosque, where the Janaza prayers were held by the National Chief Imam, Sheikh Osman Nur Shaributu, attracted colleague MPs, supporters of the ruling NDC, politicians, constituents, among others. For most guests who spoke to the news team, the calm nature of Nasser Toure Mahama never stood in the way of his firm beliefs.
When I got the message yesterday, still couldn't believe that had happened. But Nasser was a cheerful spirit, someone who was calm, and it's just sad. He's very soft-spoken, a man of very few words but action. His work is on the ground. He moves the ground in ways that only a master and a professional could do it. And it's really sad. We've lost a big pillar in the region. The region is going to feel his loss.
At a point in time, he gave me a blank check and said that, Chairman, anytime you are traveling, I have these 1, 2, 3 filling stations. Depending upon which direction that you are going, go to that filling station, let them fill your fuel tank for you. And that is the kind of selfless person that Honorable was. And so his death came as a very big shock. But we believe that God knows best, and we pray that the Almighty God will grant him Jannatu Firdaus.
It was a grassroots person, very, very rooted with the constituency. The people love him. He runs his business very well, and he does well for people. And that is what this is all about, what you can do for people.
Nasser always come to me as a regional minister to ask of slots for his constituents. I mean, what I keep on telling Nasser, we all call it. So let's find means of getting slots for our constituents. And this is the enthusiasm of Nasser, making sure that he get what he wants for his constituents.
His benevolence extended to almost every individual of the Muslim fraternity.
He came in to fill a gap and using his God-inspired, pure heart, generosity, sympathy, and love for his constituency. He's somebody who loves to inspire and encourage the young people. I think that is the spirit that brought him down when he came back from Japan, and he got inspired and encouraged to stand as an MP. And since he became an MP, the community has benefited from that. Nasser is somebody who has humility, respect for the elderly. He has a spirit of devotion and service to his humanity.
and may his soul rest in peace. He was 60 years old, and you heard that report put together by George Queening. Away from that, the Ghana National Fire Service says it has taken note of a viral video circulating on social media which allegedly shows some fire officers or fire service personnel assaulting a civilian. In a statement, the service confirmed that the alleged assault, said to involve a journalist, is currently under police investigation, and that the fire service will fully cooperate with law enforcement to establish the facts. According to the fire service, the video captures an altercation between firefighters and a suspected thief who had earlier attacked fire personnel along with some accomplices at the fire scene. Management of the service has since set up a committee to thoroughly investigate the incident and establish all relevant facts. While condemning attacks on its personnel, the National Fire Service says it equally frowns upon any form of physical or verbal assault on civilians by its officers, regardless of the provocation. The service has therefore appealed to the public to remain calm and exercise restraint as investigations continue. The Ghana National Fire Service reaffirmed its commitment to professionalism, accountability, and transparency, and says further updates will be communicated when necessary. So that's a statement coming from the National Fire Service following reports of an assault on a journalist. We've seen bits and pieces of the video. We've also seen commentary by some senior government officials condemning the assault or the attack. But as we have just been told, the fire service says that they have also taken notice of the video. However, investigations are currently ongoing. So in the coming days, they will update us or address the nation regarding how far they have gone with investigations. Before we leave and go into business and sports, let's bring you some more stories now. For many parents in rural Ghana, the farm is a classroom and the hope is a pencil. The disparity between urban endowed schools and rural deprived schools has reached a tipping point. Stakeholders are now calling for a radical shift in investments to ensure that a child in a remote village in the Bono East region can compete on the same global stage as a child from the capital city of Accra or Kumasi. We have details of that story for you later in subsequent bulletins. Time now, though, for the latest in the world of sports, and Orekwam will bring that to us in a moment.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the sports segment here on Hot Edition on CFM 92.7. My name is Oreku Ampofo. Let's begin on the continental front, where the race for the AFCON honors is beginning to take shape as the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations enters a decisive phase. The round of 16 fixtures kicked off on Saturday with Senegal and Mali sealing quarterfinal slots after overcoming Sudan and Tunisia respectively. Elsewhere, host nation Morocco squeezed past Tanzania to book their place in the last 8, while Cameroon urged South Africa to keep alive their ambitions of lifting yet another AFCON trophy. The round of 16 action continues today. Egypt are currently locked together 1-1 against Benin after 80 minutes played in that match, with neither side able to gain the upper hand. Later tonight, there would also be the game between Nigeria, who will square up against Mozambique. Now, ahead of the Super Eagles showdown, head coach Eric Shell conceded that there is pressure within the camp, but insisted his players are approaching the competition one game at a time.
Job, I mean, under pressure, so This is not the question about the GNFF. This is the question about the official and the group and me. Game after game, we want to become ambitious. We think about just the next game. We want to win the next game. And if God give us the chance to go to the quarterfinal, we will think about the quarterfinal. But now we think about this game against Mozambique, and we want to win this game.
And so that was Eric Shell, who's the coach of Nigeria, speaking ahead of their game against Mozambique, which kicks off later tonight at 7 p.m. Meanwhile, let's shift focus to Europe, where Manchester United have dismissed Ruben Amorim, bringing an abrupt end to a turbulent 14th-month reign as manager of the Premier League giant. The Portuguese tactician's exit follows increasing friction with the club's hierarchy at Old Trafford, including Director of Football Jason Wilcox over the past few days. So my colleague Billy Shen reflects on Amorim's spell at United and believes the decision to part ways has been looming for some time.
Ruben Amorim's sacking was not a surprise. The writing was indeed on the wall. If you look at his record at Manchester United, recording 24 68 matches, which amounts to a 38.10% winning. It's abysmal. With the wealth of all the coaches that were appointed after Alex Ferguson, so it wasn't a shock. And also looking back at the exclusive pressure that he had, reminding people that he was working as a manager and not as a head coach. Also, the reports of tensions between himself and one of the high-ranking members of Manchester United. It just looked like it was going to happen sooner rather than later. Maybe it should have happened months ago, but it has happened now. In Manchester United, we'll have to pick up the pieces, but there was certainly no surprise. And we'll see if Amorim gets another top job, because he came to the Manchester United to the Premier League with a huge reputation for sporting. It didn't work out. So it would sort of hamper himself for another big club. But anything can happen in regards to the managerial market.
And so that was Billy Shen on the Manchester United sack of their former head coach Ruben Amorim. But before we go, Bournemouth boss Andoni Iraola has confirmed that Antoine Semenyo will be available for the Cherries Premier League fixture against Tottenham Hotspur, playing down reports that a potential switch to Manchester City could keep the forward out of the match. Amid rising speculation surrounding Semenyo's future, Iraola made it clear that the Ghana international remains part of his immediate plan.
The situation hasn't changed, so as our player, I expect him to play, against the Spurs. Yes, there is a lot of noise around him, I understand, but this is the situation right now, yes.
And so that was head coach of Bournemouth, Andoni Iraola, bringing an end to the sports segment here on Hot Edition. My name is Oreku Ampofo, and the business segment with Bismarck is up next.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the business segment on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck. Also coming up tonight, Bank of Ghana to inject up to $1 billion into the forex market in January 2026 as it activates new FX operations framework to stabilize the cedi. We'll bring you details. Thanks for your company. Now to the details. The Bank of Ghana has announced plans to sell up to $1 billion to the market and businesses in January 2026 under its foreign exchange intermediation program. According to the bank, the move is aimed at dampening volatility in the forex markets and supporting reserve accumulation. The plan was contained in a wire communication to market operators cited by 3 Business and is expected to be carried out under the central bank's newly approved foreign exchange operations framework. According to the Bank of Ghana, the January auctions will mark the full operationalization of measures outlined in the FX operations framework and will be aligned with the objectives of its reserve accumulation program. The central bank says the FX intermediation program is designed to help stabilize the foreign exchange market when pressure arises, particularly within the context of the domestic gold purchase program. The new framework, approved by the bank's board in November 2025, reinforces Ghana's inflation targeting framework and commitment to a flexible market-driven exchange rate system. It seeks to support reserve buffers, reduce excessive short-term volatility without undermining exchange rate flexibility, and ensure foreign exchange inflows are intermediated in a transparent, market-neutral manner. The Bank of Ghana has also indicated that volumes for subsequent months will depend on prevailing market conditions while maintaining full disclosure of its forex market activities. And that was a 3 Business News Desk report on the Bank of Ghana injecting up to $1 billion into forex market in January 2026. Meanwhile, the central bank has issued comprehensive new regulations governing the registration and operations of all international money transfer operators, commonly known as IMTUs, facilitating money inflows into the country. The new policy document, titled Guidelines for the Registration and Operations of International Money Transfer Operators in Ghana, dated December 2025, establishes a rigorous framework aimed at strengthening regulatory oversight, enhancing consumer protection, and preserving the integrity of Ghana's remittance ecosystem. Under the new guidelines, all IMTUs operating in Ghana or into Ghana will be required to meet stricter registration